The first day at Westbrook High was buzzing with the usual chatter of students, but when Lily Tran walked through the double doors, the energy seemed to shift, as if the air itself took notice of her presence. She wasn't like the others. Her clothes were plain, her shoes simple, and her long black hair tied back neatly without a hint of makeup or jewelry to decorate her face. She carried herself with a quiet grace, her posture straight, her eyes sharp and observant, as though she were studying the movements of everyone around her. Students whispered immediately, nudging each other, curious about the new girl who didn't seem nervous, flashy, or eager to blend in. "She looks so strange," one girl murmured. "Probably some bookworm," another snickered. Lily heard them, but her expression remained unreadable, as if she had learned long ago that words were powerless against her. At lunch, she chose the far corner of the cafeteria, away from the cliques and loud laughter, unpacking a modest lunch of rice and vegetables she had brought from home. She ate silently, ignoring the glances thrown her way, until Vanessa, the queen bee of Westbrook High, and her loyal followers decided to make their move. Vanessa strutted over with a tray in hand, her voice dripping with mockery as she slammed it onto the table. "You're in my seat, new girl," she sneered, flipping her hair arrogantly as her friends giggled. Lily looked up, her gaze calm and steady. "There are plenty of seats here," she replied softly, her tone polite yet firm, as though she wasn't intimidated at all. The cafeteria hushed, the students sensing that something unusual was happening. No one ever talked back to Vanessa. The smirk on Vanessa's face faded into irritation, and Maddie, her sidekick, crossed her arms with a nasty grin. "Looks like she needs to be taught a lesson." Vanessa raised her hand, her perfectly manicured nails catching the cafeteria light, aiming a slap straight toward Lily's cheek. Gasps rippled through the room. Everyone expected the sting, the humiliation, the dominance Vanessa always enjoyed. But it never came. In a blur too fast for most to register, Lily's hand shot up, her fingers locking around Vanessa's wrist with a grip so firm it made her gasp. With one controlled twist, Lily stopped her cold, her voice cutting through the silence like steel. "Don't ever try that again." She released Vanessa, who stumbled back in shock, her face pale with humiliation, while the cafeteria sat frozen in stunned silence. Without another word, Lily lowered her eyes to her lunch and continued eating, as though nothing had happened, but everyone else knew something had just changed forever at Westbrook High. By the following morning, Westbrook High was alive with whispers that flew faster than text messages, and everywhere Lily walked, she felt the weight of curious eyes tracking her. Some students whispered with admiration, their voices filled with awe as they retold the story of how the quiet new girl had stopped Vanessa's slap midair, while others exaggerated, claiming she had flipped Vanessa across the cafeteria or pinned her to the ground like some action movie hero. Regardless of the version, one fact remained the same: Vanessa, the untouchable queen bee, had been humiliated in front of everyone, and she burned with fury over it. She could barely look anyone in the eye without seeing smirks or hearing muffled laughter, and that humiliation quickly curdled into rage. During break, Vanessa gathered her loyal friends Maddie and Claire by the lockers, hissing under her breath about how they had to put Lily in her place before the whole school forgot who really ruled the halls. Maddie suggested starting with rumors, spreading lies that Lily was some kind of criminal's daughter, while Claire thought it would be better to challenge her in front of everyone, force her to fight where she couldn't hide. Vanessa smirked, her pride aching but her mind calculating revenge. Later that afternoon, they cornered Lily by her locker, blocking her way with folded arms and cocky smirks. "Think you're tough?" Maddie sneered, shoving Lily's shoulder. "Fight us outside after school, let's see what you've really got." Lily's eyes flicked between them, her calm expression unchanged as she quietly replied, "I don't fight unless I have to. Violence is pointless." The simple statement made the girls laugh mockingly. "Coward," Vanessa spat, her eyes gleaming with challenge. "Fine. We'll make you fight." By the final bell, word had spread across the school like wildfire, and a crowd of excited students gathered behind the gym, buzzing with anticipation. Lily stood quietly, her backpack slung over one shoulder, while Vanessa and her friend strutted forward, faces twisted with determination and arrogance. Vanessa lunged first, her hand swinging toward Lily again, but Lily moved with lightning precision, stepping aside effortlessly so the slap cut through empty air. Maddie rushed next, trying to shove Lily, only to stumble into the dirt as Lily pivoted gracefully out of reach. Claire screamed in frustration, grabbing for Lily's hair, but in a swift motion Lily redirected her, spinning her around until she landed on the ground too. The crowd erupted in gasps and cheers, watching as Vanessa struggled to rise. Lily crouched slightly, her calm gaze pinning Vanessa where she stood. "You fight for pride," Lily said softly, her voice carrying through the hushed crowd. "I fight only when I must. Don't mistake mercy for weakness." Then, without another glance, she walked away, leaving the bullies stunned and the students around them whispering in awe that the new girl wasn't just strong, she was untouchable. Lily hoped that her demonstration behind the gym would put an end to the nonsense, but instead it only seemed to fuel the fire of curiosity and resentment that now surrounded her every step in the hallways of Westbrook High. The students admired her, whispering in excitement whenever she passed, yet the bullies burned hotter with shame, especially Vanessa, who could not tolerate being the laughingstock of the school. Her bruised pride festered until she came up with a plan that went beyond the walls of high school games. One evening, she met with her older cousin Marcus, a college dropout with a swaggering ego and a reputation as a brutal street fighter. She recounted her humiliation with dramatic flair, painting Lily as some arrogant martial artist who had embarrassed her in front of the entire student body. Marcus, always hungry for a chance to show off his strength, cracked his knuckles and smirked. "Don't worry, cousin. I'll take care of your little problem." Days later, Marcus showed up after school, leaning casually against the chain-link fence by the basketball courts as students gathered, buzzing with nervous anticipation. Vanessa stood proudly beside him, her chin high, eager to see Lily finally put in her place. Lily arrived with her usual calm expression, her school bag slung over her shoulder, but her eyes instantly assessed Marcus's stance, the way he shifted his weight, the smug confidence of someone who relied on brute force rather than discipline. The crowd parted as Marcus stepped forward, towering over her, his voice dripping with arrogance. "So you're the girl who thinks she's too good for my cousin? Let's see what you've got." Lily sighed quietly, her voice steady but firm. "This isn't necessary. Walk away before you regret it." Marcus barked out a laugh, misinterpreting her calmness as fear, then swung a heavy punch aimed straight at her face. But Lily's body flowed like water, she ducked effortlessly, pivoting on her heel, and swept his legs from beneath him in a blur of precision. Marcus crashed onto the ground with a thud that silenced the crowd. He scrambled to rise, but Lily crouched low, pressing her palm lightly against his chest with perfect control. "You've already lost," she said softly, her eyes unwavering. For a tense moment, the yard held its breath, until Marcus surprised everyone by chuckling, shaking his head in disbelief. "You're good, better than I thought. Not many can drop me like that." He extended a hand, and after a pause, Lily took it. Vanessa's face twisted in horror as her cousin himself acknowledged Lily's strength, while the crowd erupted, realizing that the new girl wasn't just strong, she was unbeatable, and now even her enemies couldn't deny it. In the days that followed Marcus's defeat, Westbrook High felt different, as though the balance of power had quietly shifted, and for the first time in years, students no longer walked the halls in fear of Vanessa and her gang. The story of Lily's calm yet overwhelming skill spread like wildfire, transforming her from the weird new girl into a figure of awe and respect, though she never sought attention or praise. She continued her quiet routines, studying diligently, eating her simple lunches in the corner, and walking home without fanfare, but her presence carried weight, an invisible shield that gave others courage. One afternoon, Lily turned a corner and saw a small freshman cornered by two older boys demanding his lunch money. Without hesitation, she stepped between them, her voice calm but edged with authority. "This doesn't make you strong," she said firmly, her eyes locked on theirs. "It makes you weak." Something in her tone, steady and unyielding, froze them in place, and within seconds, they muttered excuses and scattered, leaving the boys staring at Lily with wide-eyed gratitude. Word of moments like these spread too, and soon students began to realize that Lily's strength wasn't just in her fists or her lightning-fast reflexes, it was in her restraint, her discipline, and the quiet dignity with which she carried herself. Even Vanessa, once the feared queen bee, found herself avoiding confrontations, her pride broken by the reality that she could no longer control the school with intimidation. A week later, Vanessa approached Lily alone, her voice uncharacteristically hesitant as she asked, "Why didn't you just destroy me that day? You could have ruined me." Lily met her eyes with calm patience. "Because that would have made me just like you," she replied softly. "Real strength isn't about hurting people. It's about knowing when not to." The words sank deeper into Vanessa than any blow could, leaving her speechless as Lily walked away. By the end of the semester, the fear that once lingered in Westbrook High had been replaced by something new, respect, not just for Lily, but for the idea that true power came from control, discipline, and kindness. Lily Tran, the quiet new girl, had walked in as an outsider and left her mark as a symbol, proving once and for all that trying to slap her had been the biggest mistake anyone at Westbrook High could ever make.